Welcome back for another episode of The Voice of Generation Climate, TVOGC. Today we have with us Sudhakar Chirra, who is the founder of FreshBus. What a pleasure to have you with us today, Sudhakar.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Firstly, Ani, I think thanks for the facilitating this, and talk about my journey and as well as the FreshBus. The AbhiBus is started by me in the year 2008, and AbhiBus is a pure marketplace for selling bus tickets. So AbhiBus was working with all the bus operators across the country and the SRTCs in the country, and they give software as a SaaS for these private operators and SRTCs. And also, it's a B2C platform for selling bus tickets. So that's AbhiBus. That company started in 2008 by me, sole founded by me. And that company I merged with Ixigo in 2021. So that's the journey of AbhiBus. And I started FreshBus again, completely separately, and in 2019. And I supposed to launch in 2020. COVID hit, and I have to push back my plans. Then I worked on the M&A of AbhiBus and Ixigo transaction in 2021. And in after the complete hand holding and everything, I started sort of the second entrepreneur journey of Fresh Bus idea, and all. I took that out and restarted that in 2023 April. So that's the
Oh, great.
the
Yeah, that's the full trajectory. That's the full trajectory.
yes,
So I actually met
yes.
you for the first time in you talking about this story as well at the Peak 15 Summit, in a really fascinating conversation with, Alok of the Ixigo Group and you talking about how the acquisition went through and really what all it entailed. And I think in that conversation, climate and sustainability also came up at some point as being really, really core priorities, right? Because transportation and commuting are really big contributors to our climate crisis. And you've really
Yes.
taken on the mantle of being a change agent and using the platform you've built to drive more sustainable consumption, more sustainable behavior in society. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because by definition, Fresh Bus is really fresh. It's an electric bus fleet, right? You're
Yeah.
already so much lower on carbon emissions. But what prompted that value of sustainability within your company?
Yeah, I think uh, two elements to it. One is the carbon emissions from the commercial vehicles, right? 3% of carbon, 3% of commercial vehicles, be it the trucks, the buses, and the three-wheeler commercial vehicles, contribute almost 44% of the carbon emissions in India, which is a very pathetic, right? So if we can start working on this, right, I think that's a lot of change can happen. Is what this is if we can address this 3%, it can whatever our commitments to the net, carbon neutral, we'll be able to meet them faster. So that was one of the thesis, and yeah, in that commercial vehicles, the bus also falls a biggest one of the biggest category. So that was one of the moat for us to start 100% EV. And the second one is also if we can really work on the certain cost, I think the unit economics makes more sense in the EV business. Just to give an example, that the diesel bus for running a 1 kilometer, it will cost us about 37, 38 rupees per kilometer. That we have achieved that in the if it's a purely the electric, and we can achieve that in a 7.5 rupees. It's almost like a at a 25 to 20 to 25% the cost. You will be able to run the electric bus. So these are the two
Cost
things
saving and carbon.
which to choose 100% EV, and also it contributes lots of it'll cut the lots of carbon emissions.
Carbon emissions. Yeah. So first, it's a cost saving. Second, it's a climate. It's just a better climate choice.
Yeah, obviously, I think it has to be a right mix because if I say that I'm expensive and please choose this over the conventional diesel buses, I think people will have a lot of apprehensions on why,
Hmm.
right? I just want to travel from point A to
Yeah.
point B, and why I have to pay you higher. So I have to work on the unit economics, which really makes sense at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're right. There's this concept of the green premium, right? Will people pay a green premium just because your product is more sustainable or not? And by and large, like most people are really not going to. Like you want a same or better experience, but same or cheaper price, right?
Yeah,
So same or better experience with same or cheaper price is typically what 99% of people want. And I think
yeah,
the approach you've taken is you have a full Electra fleet, right? Electra bus fleet.
yeah. So
Um,
currently we have about 20 buses, Electra. These, and then we've ordered another 100 buses, and this month we are getting about a couple of them. And by June we will be fleet of 100 and running in 10 different routes across the country.
Wow. And on a pathway to 1,000. I saw that's a defined goal, right? 1,000 buses.
Yes. Yes.
So these buses are on the customer experience side, obviously equivalent or better than a conventional diesel bus comparison. And on the carbon climate front, actually 71% more carbon efficient. They still have a residual carbon emission. It's not like they're net negative, right? They still have a carbon emission. But I remember we had actually done that exercise with you, and it turned out to be 71% more carbon efficient, which is just remarkable. So,
Yes.
can you talk about both the customer experience side, number one, and then on the climate side, what value have you found, and how have your customers appreciated it?
See, today I think I'll go back to the unit economics again and spend a little bit of time on that. Whatever the savings, what we are getting in terms of the when diesel versus the electric, we are giving that back in the form of great experience. Today, the industry is struggling to give a basic the customer experience like vehicle tracking system is not there where people can track the bus, and also these the cleanliness, hygiene, captain training, and then they stop at an interim place where women can't even get down and use the washrooms. They stop at a shabby place wherever the drivers getting kickbacks and all that. So what we have done is that we have changed the how the whole industry works. We invested back some of the earnings out of it, the savings out of and then we were able to give at the same price as a diesel bus price, the ticket price. We were giving a great experience. So that's something what we have achieved. Yes, on top of it, there are a bunch of merits of noiseless, high quality, and all that is absolutely much, much, much better when compared to diesel buses.
Yeah, I think the first step for the customer experience and the climate journey always begins with the knowledge layer, measuring what matters, right? On the carbon front, water front, waste, and then just showing it, like more transparently showing it to your stakeholders, to your customers, to your investors, to government regulators, etc. And just that knowledge layer is so powerful because it drives a lot more decision making beyond that, right?
Yeah. So what we do is that we've done a couple of surveys inside, and how many are about a green conscious when they're choosing the bus from point A to point B. And surprisingly, we got about a 6% of the people are clearly giving a their decision making is inclined towards EV. 6% of the people when they are making their choice from point A to point B. And yeah, how do I improve that 6% to maybe 30%, 40% so that I can get to that green premium or is that I think today, as you have done the study, Climes study, so you gave us some numbers on the how much of carbon emissions we are doing when compared to the diesel buses. So we do about a 34 grams per kilometer per passenger is what we are saving, right? Cutting carbon emissions, right? And almost that is, which is translates to about 60 kgs of carbon emissions is almost equivalent to one tree of planting. So, so indirectly, so we are just building that, hey, look, right? You don't need to plant a tree, right? At least you can travel from choosing fresh bus, right? Emotionally, okay, you're just saying you're saving the planet. So you have contributed so much to the planet. So this is what we're doing from our side, apart from the other experiential, the difference from others, and also the price advantage, all that. This is something what we're doing on top of it. This really helped. The climb study really helped us in really telling them this is what you're doing.
Yeah, that's really, really lovely to hear. I think that the knowledge layer is the most important. It's always the first touch point. Show the truth, show uh, impact created, and then I think that leads to a lot more decision making beyond that for your employees, for your customers, for even your government stakeholders, for your investors, right? Knowing the truth, particularly that climate layer or climate impact, is I think really powerful. We've seen it happen in very many companies. Uh, what other climate initiatives have you taken? So you obviously you started with an electric bus fleet and then you've done measurement and now you're actually leading to even more optimization efforts, right? You have a program called Captain.
So we
Maybe.
call our drivers as captains.
Yes, but there's a word for it, Captain Culture Program,
Yes.
right?
So
In which you're doing a bunch
yes,
of education to do behavior change.
yes. I think this particular community of the drivers in especially in the commercial vehicles, right? There is a certain behavioral. They have been exposed to certain behaviors. They're very harsh. They are sort of like, because of they're always on the highway road. They have to deal with bunch of truck drivers and motels, hotels, all that. There is certain behaviorally they are being like there. So what we have done is that we have right from the day one we decided we're not going to call them as drivers. We call them as captains. So is how we started. We just gave them uniforms, and we do first before bringing on them to on our on us. We just do a lot of training for them, and then just it's just more of a behavioral training, not about a driver training of running a diesel bus or running an electric bus. It is how they treat the customers because they're the front face of the customers, right? He's the one who is the customers are seeing him the first. So we have done the training program, and in the last 25 years, I've seen the drivers are sleeping inside the bus once they reach other destination. They take
Yeah,
shower on the road, and they're all exposed to lack of sleep, and which results in the safety. So what we have done is that the beauty is that we have to set up a charging stations and each and every hub to where the bus goes. That acted as for us as the parking place plus the charging station. And also what we've done is that we have built a nice sleeping pods for them. So where in between the trips they can take the enough rest, and also they can have a hot shower facility during the winter, and no, they have geysers. So all that I think like we have air conditioned pods, not just sleeping air
yeah.
conditioned pods, and we pay them a salary which is almost 70-80% than the current industry. The reason is that behaviorally, the culturally, we just have to set a different mindset. This
Yes.
is also has been initiative of us, what we have done.
That's really, really cool. I think dignity and livelihood improvement is a core part of your operation,
Yes. So we
right?
were taking care of ESI, PF, insurance. Let's say in a corporate office, let's say on a Diwali gifting, if you're giving the Samsung watches, even the captains got the same. So he is not less than a corporate employee. That's how we treat our captains.
That's really, really nice to hear. Um, So now, because you've taken this approach of, fully electric bus fleet, you measure your emissions, you're leading to more dignity of your drivers. Uh, in the transportation industry, particularly in the bus mobility industry, are others following your lead? Have you've separated yourself from the rest in terms of your values and your branding, and just you're not doing it because it's a cool thing to do. You've actually done it from day one as being a
Yes.
fully electric bus fleet, right? You're not turning into an electric bus fleet. So how is the industry reading that? Are they following you in it? Do they have questions for you? Uh, Perhaps give me like give me a sense of where does the bus transportation industry go from here?
So I think today there are 3,000 bus operators in the country, uh, be it small, big, and medium operators. The ranging from two bus to the largest operator, 600 buses in the country today. Um, so the last 20-25 years, the booking platform like AbhiBus and Redbus has changed on the how the booking can happen. But when it comes to the inside the bus experience is not sorted, not solved. The reason being is that there are lots of issues. One is the financing side, where the banks are giving finances left, right, center. About a close to 90-95% of the funding is done from the banks. So where the bus operators didn't bring enough equity into this game. So now, uh, uh, like about like 4 years, 5 years, they sweat the asset and sell the asset. So because they didn't bring the enough equity, the COVID hit them very hard, and the diesel prices went up from when I started seeing from 30 rupees, 40 rupees a liter to currently it is at 100 rupees per liter. But the fares didn't grow proportionately as the prices have gone up. So I think the whole industry is going through a lot. So it needs a consolidation. Right now, I think it needs a consolidation. So the way it will head to is that the existing bus operators have to convert to EV because of the unit economics doesn't make sense in the diesel industry at all.
Yeah.
So there are intercity buses which are close to 3 lakh buses fly every day in the country. 3 lakh, barring
Wow.
I'm not talking about a city buses, BSTs or BMTCs. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about a short distance buses. I'm not talking about them. I'm not counting them. I'm just counting only the long distance which are running more than 250 kilometers
Oh
per day.
God, 3 lakh buses.
3 lakh buses. So all it is lying with the 3,000 bus operators plus the RTCs which are running long distance. So this industry is in the next 10, 12 years, I think all of them has to convert to EV. There's no other option, purely from a unit economics perspective. But yeah, I think we have taken that first mover advantage. We are the India's first electric bus,
Yeah.
intercity electric bus. In 2019, I started, named it and all. We didn't go, obviously, launched it, but I think we restarted that again in 2023. So the only two in India, two intercity bus operators in the country right now. Yeah, as I said, going forward, it'll be with everybody will get into the space. But yeah, I think who will win the customer experience and who will be able to get the better, use the better technology and process will so that the better yield management of the vehicle, sweating the asset, triangulation, route mapping. So the technology will supersede, and so technology, customer experience will win over others. So this is what I foresee the industry.
Very, very interesting. And I actually like that angle of the geopolitical risk of oil prices significantly impacting, the ICE, internal combustion engine, or particularly diesel fleets, right? And that affects
Yes.
pricing for customers eventually. And we are living in a very, very volatile world right now. Like geopolitically, the most volatile in a bunch of ways, right? You don't know where prices are going to be for oil tomorrow, compared to
Yeah.
a year from now. So actually, I think that's a really key part of the India story as well, which is we need to be geopolitically immune to oil. So
Yes.
not just
Yeah,
a
I think
customer experience, not just for climate, but geopolitically, like keep prices also stable, right? Like that's a better customer experience.
so. India is the largest crude importer in the world,
Yes.
right? So obviously, how do we reduce the crude import and have more dollar reserves with us is to get into EVs,
Yeah.
right? That's the way, and generate the power, use the solar, which is the natural, right,
Mhm.
resource to sort of like, get the power and then run these assets on. Will reduce the crude import, which will net result in a overall growth of the economy. I think the
Absolutely.
India the government is also really, that's the reason we're really bullish about the EV revolution. That's the reason they brought in Frame One policy, Frame Two policies, subsidizing the buses, the charging station setups to the three-wheelers and four-wheelers, etc. Yeah,
Yeah, and I heard this number that in any EV space, whether it's for personal use, commercial use, typically if 5% of the entire market converts into electric, then there's a pretty significant tipping point, right? Adoption wise. Is it the same for the bus fleet as well? You said 3 lakh buses ply intercity every day. You're at 100 buses, you're going to be at 100 buses soon. And you have one other company that's doing electric buses only. That's a really, really small number, right? Like that are flying electric buses then. So is there a percentage number that we need to get to as critical mass beyond which it just ramps up and scales up? Or are the other numbers on that different than, let's say, personal car adoption?
so I think this is slightly different. The here it is that um, I think there are two, three reasons are really important to convert this or fast pace this EV adoption in the buses. Is the one of the key thing is um, the lending should come
Hmm.
forward for EV assets. Today, lots of banks are not really coming forward to fund the
Okay.
assets. So that's a very, very, very important thing. The policymakers and the government of India has to really look into. And second thing is it's a chicken and egg story where like people are looking at where is the infra, right? So especially the bus charging stations require a large chargers. It's not a domestic. For the cars, you use a 60 kilowatt charger or a 120 kilowatt charger. But whereas the bus needs about a 240 kilowatt charger, 360 kilowatt charger and above. So it needs a significant power and charging station investment to be made. So that's something is a so whether I should buy the bus or whether I should invest in a charging station. So that's a chicken and egg story what's going on right now. So for us, we were able to solve that by investing in the charging stations by ourselves, right? So some of these things are, I think, in a long term, I think more charging stations with a high capacity or a fast chargers would really enable this industry faster. And the last point is the OEM supply of buses, right? The quality OEMs like large companies, which is they have not yet into the manufacturing of the coach buses. I'm talking about a long distance buses. So they're still at they're working on settling the city buses where the government is heavily subsidizing it. So I think once these three things are in place, I think it'll be I think just that the growth can happen in no time.
So the financing side is a huge bottleneck, you're saying, and if it were to get solved, EV financing for buses, that would bring a lot more impetus to electric
Right.
bus adoption, right? And then second one is of
Yes.
course the power charging point availability, and in your case, you're actually investing in those. You're now building out your
Yes.
charging points as well. Third is the bus manufacturers, right? OEMs. So is it only Electra right now, or who else is making intercity coaches?
The JBM is the also very big company out of Delhi is manufacturing the buses and coach buses. And the third one is the Exponent chargers. Exponent.
Yeah.
So they are into battery manufacturing, but they are working in the lines of manufacturing the bus along with a partner called Vira. So that's the third company, and fourth company is Azad. Azad is one of the famous bodybuilders, the bus bodybuilders. So they started this as well. So these are the four companies currently working on the EV coach buses.
Excellent, excellent. You've given a really nice lay of the land. And, like I mean, we all hear about electric mobility being a really key agent for climate action, right? And particularly in the India story, it's been renewable energy that came first as a first big step. Second was electric mobility, and third was to a degree like biodiesel. Uh, and outside of that, everything else is still like fringe, it's picking up in terms of
Yeah,
climate choices. But within the electric mobility space, obviously, it's a lot of so many. It's dissected in so many different sub verticals, right? Uh, Trucks and bikes and scooters and buses. I think you've given a fantastic lay of the land. Going forward from here, what are your hopes and aspirations? So one is your pathway to 1,000 bus fleet, but beyond that, what do you hope to achieve with Fresh Bus? And two, what is your hope for a cleaner, better, fairer future?
uh, I think see the at Fresh Press we have a lot of task in terms of getting the operational metrics right. Right. So the first and foremost is the vehicle utilization and the as I said, that's a sweating the asset and the optimization of the routes. All right, just why a bus has to go from point A to B and then again come back from B to A. Why not? It's just like an airline where it goes from point A to B and then B to D or a B to C, right? And the C can go to Z, right? And Z to A. So I think that and also the pricing, right? That's something dynamic pricing what we have built in, right? Why a bus has to be priced right on X, right? It can be a pure demand supply how airlines are working. So some of these things are something what we are currently working on. Not by adding routes. Yeah, that is something which we could do it, but this is something technically we are improving and trying to at the same time give the great experience and punctuality. We've done the punctuality which nobody has even started or thought of doing displaying a punctuality. So we are at a 94% on time. And
Airlines.
also we are at a CSAT score. Yeah, we are
Typically,
at a
you know,
CSAT.
saying, "Hey, on time arrival," so much percentage on time arrival. Never really with
Yes,
buses.
yes. Nobody has done that till date. So we're doing that. And also the CSAT score, right? The customer satisfaction score, right? We constantly strive for that, and we are a 4.7 star rated on all the OTA platforms and most preferred operator. Yeah, we are. I think that's something which we constantly work and believe, not just the addition of a new route or just a number of buses. So, and then the sky is the limit. As I said, 3 lakh buses are there, and then I think we thought of 1,000 to start with, but why not 10,000, right? So that's something it is even possible in this industry.
Yeah, and of the total number that's already plying on the road, 3 lakh a day, that's still like it's such a big opportunity.
Yes. So there is
To
no
to
national operator. There's no national operator in the country like in India. Right. So where the bus company is present in Delhi and as well as in Kerala. So everything is very, very regional centric.
yeah,
So we just want the Fresh Bus to be a national brand uh, with the 10,000 bus plan, right? 1,000 is just one of the midpoint.
it will happen. It will happen. And I should have perhaps asked this right in the beginning, but why Fresh Bus? What's behind the name? And what was the moment of inspiration for that?
I think the I think knowingly, unknowingly, we use the word fresh a lot, right? You wake up in the morning, you say, "Can I get a fresh coffee?" Right? So and then you want to get a fresh funding news, right? And you always crave for something fresh, right? And at the same time I felt that yeah, that this something which we want to start new, a fresh beginning of the industry, right? That was a thought when I was thinking of the name. And also fresh also resembles the green air, like right? So all that is also comes to my mind, and it's that's how these are the thoughts which came, and then to decide that name. Yeah, I think at 2023, before starting the operations, I gave a really I appointed an agency to rename, work on a rename and all that. We have a bunch of names with 120 names came out, but I felt I think nothing. There's something which is like, yeah, I think this is great. So that's that's how the name was born.
It's definitely got a very nice connotation to it. And you're right, like it's a fresh beginning for a very old industry, right? People
Yeah,
are always going to want to need to move from like
yeah,
for like long ago and long
yeah.
into the future. And I think we all need a reset. That commuting will never stop. People will always need mobility, but the way we commute can be fresher than the past. And it can be fresh, I think, in terms of customer experience and two, for the climate as well.
Yes,
Every
yes,
choice has got to be a climate positive choice now. And just by, your intervention, at least in that one segment of human life, which is bus transportation, I think we're making a significant dent already. 71% more efficient than normal. And that really compounds, right? Per rider.
yeah. I think there are certain myths on the EV buses, the lithium extraction to the end of life. I think has some misconceptions. I think yeah, why that 29% still there, the 340 grams. I think you have factored nicely on the right from lithium extraction to the bus body manufacturing to the cell manufacturing to the also you have taken a consideration of the power currently the power availability right, so a mix of coal and hydro and the renewable energies, right, all put together with a currently we're at 70/30 ratio. I think and also the end of life, so we have factored all that. That's the reason I think still we are at a 29%, 71% efficient than the diesel, but I think still there is a lot more can be achieved in the future.
Yes, yes. And steadily forward, but really appreciate you for all that you do. And I think FreshBus is definitely going to be an alternate choice for a lot more people. The more, pan India you really become. I do feel like we're moving into a future where people don't just pick based on price and comfort, but also based on is this more sustainable or not.
Yeah.
Um, and that is a movement that's definitely picking up.
Yes.
Sudhakar, really appreciate you for your time and all your great work. Thank you for being with us on this episode today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.